The Food Administration of the UN, the FAO, they have estimated that around 50% of the soil it's already degraded on its way of being degraded. That means losing the capacity of producing food.
Today, we're having a conversation with Irving Rivera, the founder of Solena. Irving is a biotechnologist and graduate of Stanford Business School that holds multiple recognitions and awards, such as Forbes Mexico's 30 Most Promising Entrepreneurs and MIT's Top Innovators Under 35. His company, Solena, is a next-gen tech company that focuses on soil health and microbiome optimization via artificial intelligence. Irving, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here.
Hey, Donnovan, thank you very much for inviting me. My pleasure.
Absolutely good to connect again. So I wanted to just jump right into it, right? So you were building something that's really, really unique and really different when we have these conversations around artificial intelligence. So your journey in building Solena brought you from Mexico to San Francisco to Boston. Can you talk me through your journey? Just talk us through it so we can learn a little bit more about who you are and where you came from.
By background, I'm a biotech engineer. That's my education formally. So I began my career when I was working in an industry of environmental solutions in Mexico. I figured out that I could do more with my knowledge in the biotech industry. And then I was introduced by my family and by some friends into the agriculture. I suddenly realized that agriculture is such a huge industry that it needs the help of biotech in order to become a more efficient industry in terms of the food production for humanity in the next years and in the future of the planet. So that was like the huge trigger. Like, hey, I mean, I could know something that I could use my knowledge in order to help agriculture improve and be more efficient in terms of resources. So my first step was working in a biotech company, trying to create some biological products for agriculture. I spent 2 years developing some products like using biofertilizers, biopesticides, biofungicides. I'm talking about 2015. So this new trend of biological solution was booming. It was just beginning. That's the best description. So I spent 2 years doing this research and development of this kind of products, creating thousands of trials in Mexico, different conditions, different waters, different crops, different varieties. I suddenly realized that this kind of products, sometimes they were really efficient, really effective, like solving agricultural problems and farmers' challenges. But some other times they were not effective at all. And that was the huge problem why farmers, they didn't trust at that time in a more sustainable or environmental friendly agricultural or kind of management. So that was like the huge thing that we were discovering, like what's happening here, what we can do in order to improve and solve this kind of huge problem, because otherwise agriculture and farmers, they won't trust to move towards a more sustainable, environmental friendly kind of agriculture. So we just define the root of this problem, that was the lack of information about the soil. So in 2017, we moved towards to this direction, soil microbiome. We discovered a complete new universe around this concept of the soil microbiome and biological fertility. And we found that we could do a lot in order to bring this knowledge and bring these tools to the farmers and to the industry so they can understand better and control better this concept of life in the soil. But technologically talking and technologically speaking, from that point of view, we found that it was a huge problem in order of the data that we needed to generate. And secondly, how we could use this data in order to make sense, like kind of recommendation or an index or something that it could be practical, valuable for the farmers. So yes, that was like this knowledge. And like looking at this huge problem, it just opened the door from creating some partnerships in Mexico, but also it opened the doors to some of the biggest companies in sequencing or in AI in the States that they were really interested in partnering with Solena.
So talk to us more specifically about the challenges that we are facing around the world in terms of soil and consistency around fertility.
I mean, well, like it's well known that we are too many people in this world, and that's something that is constantly increasing. So there's many mouths to feed and to actually to feed with nutrients and with delicious food, right? That actually brings a huge pressure to the system in terms of food production. Farmers that are like these individuals or these superheroes in the society that they are creating food, they have a huge pressure because they need to create a huge amount of food, like high yields in terms of productivity, with high quality, yes, and all of that in a cost-effective way. So imagine like putting these three different kind of sets into the pressure of the farmer, and in the context of climate change, that is even more challenging for them. So what's happening? Farmers, they are using a lot of resources. We're talking about water. We're talking about inputs or fertilizers or minerals, crop protection products. They are using too much in order to try to create the best balance between those three factors: yield, cost effective, and quality in the food. Mm-hmm. So in that way, farmers, they have been doing this for decades, in the past. And the result of that, yes, I mean, we have been able to increase and triple the production of food without making it triple the surface of food production.
Right.
But the main problem is that we are transforming this soil that it was a fertile once in the time into unfertile soil. And the meaning is the soil that is not being actually useful right now in order to create food. So farmers, they are degrading the soil so in an accelerated way that has never been shown in the past because of this huge amount of inputs that farmers are using right now, the resources. So that is a huge problem.
Interesting. So when we have this advancement in technology for soil optimization, right? So we'll talk more about the technology we're using in a bit. But when we continue to develop the technology routes for soil optimization, and it's enabling farmers to achieve larger yield, does it also position them to potentially reduce their reliance on chemicals?
Yeah, definitely. A fertile soil, a soil that is actually naturally, with the composition that it is naturally best for a type of crops or a variety of crop. Mm-hmm. It is also a soil that doesn't need much of the human help in order to grow food. So it naturally happens, this activity of growing food. So yeah, definitely. When if the farmer changed their mind instead of only focusing in the outcomes that are the something that they can see, they can weigh like yields or the mass of the food, the quality of the food. If they change their mind into building a better structure to grow food, that is the soil, to bring in more life into the soil, to taking care of the fertile composition of the soil, that will eventually reduce the pressure on the farmers by reducing the inputs and the activities and the energy that they are putting into the soil in order to grow food. That's the huge advancement here.
So when you look at it, when you look at the big problem, are we in some kind of danger at some point? Will we hit this tipping point where most of the world's farms turns into desert? Is that a scenario that keeps you up at night?
Yes. That's my biggest fear, and that's my biggest motivation. I mean, this is something that is not going to happen in the past. It's already happening. It's a problem. it's a nowadays problem. Farmers, they are losing their productivity, they are losing their yields. They need to change their lands into and move from one region to another region in search of like better soils, but more fertile soils, because we are currently in something that is some experts and some guys out there, they are comparing this problem such as an extinction of the fertile soil. Humanity, that's a huge word, it's a huge problem, but we are losing our capacity to keep growing food. And that's something that is, you can think about this problem, and you can be really futuristic on this topic, and it's something that it could, like turn down a lot of cultures, turn down a lot of let's say, it could be the basis of a bigger problem.
So in the context of, when you think about it in context of climate change, so obviously the Earth is getting warmer in different parts of the world. So what percentage of the world's arable soil is it, Jeffrey?
The Food Administration of the UN, the FAO, they have estimated that around, like, depending on the technology adoption and depending on how intensive is the food production, because some regions in the world they do have better temperatures, better climate, so they can grow food 2 to 3 times a year. Depending on those regions, FAO, they are estimating around like 50% of the soil it's already degraded on its way of being degraded. That means losing the capacity of producing food.
That's an amazing number.
Yes, it is a big number.
So you mentioned before that there are 3 composition components: chemical, biological, and physical. Can you talk us through your process and what this looks like and what this means, and just give people a better understanding as to, in terms of how AI specifically is playing the role in giving you the information that you need to provide farmers with optimization techniques.
Definitely. I mean, what Solena is doing, we are engineering the soil microbiome. That's in a very short sentences what we're doing. It's we are helping farmers in the food industry to engineer and design their soil microbiome that is the best fit between its composition, let's say all the microorganisms and their functionalities that are there, and the outcomes that they are looking for to get. I mean, if it's yield, if it's quality, if it's a standard kind of weight, we are trying to fit and engineer this soil microbiome to help the food industry. Because you may think that agriculture shouldn't be as different as any other industry. That's my statement, and that's something that I'm passionate about. Any other industry, they are trying to do their best. They are trying to optimize the outcomes of their activities by controlling the variables or controlling those little things that can affect the outcomes in the process. In agriculture, that's a major task, because you're talking about climate, you're talking about irrigation, you're talking about economics, you're talking about probabilities. There's such a bunch of variables that humanity has been, through technology, helping the food industry to understand them and control them. Climate in some part of the world is not a problem, because now we are talking about greenhouses. So water is a problem, of course, but the use of the water in terms of optimal use is being solved by irrigation technologies out there, and some sensors or some other kind of technologies. Physical composition of the soil, that was one of the first things that humanity has controlled through machinery, through even with some like cultural practices of removing rocks or changing the texture of the soil. That was one of the first advancements of humanity. Mm-hmm. Once humanity has been able to control that physical composition, we had advanced as a society. Secondly, is chemical. Now, because soil is, plants, they need some nutrients in order to grow, and they need more nutrients if we want to grow more wood. That's the rule, right? Essentially, and humans and humanity, they have been using since a couple of decades in the past chemical fertilizers, because the soil by itself doesn't have that, let's say, nutritional composition in terms of minerals that can bring a huge yield and a huge outcome to the farmers. So they are using fertilizers in order to supply that let's say that lack of nutrients in the soil. But biology, if we think about like the microbiome of the soil and its complexity, we're talking about millions of individuals, of millions of functionalities that are performing there. And some of those functionalities are important for the ecosystem, and some of those functionalities are important for the food production goals. So because of the task has been really, really difficult and really challenging for farmers, until this time of the human history, until this time, we can incorporate two technologies to solve this huge problem. The first one is regarding data generation. We are incorporating next generation sequencing, a really high throughput tool in order to generate a huge amount of data and be able to understand their microorganisms not by their name, not by their nature. We are understanding those microorganisms by their functionality. What is their functionality that they are performing that could be valuable for both the ecosystem and the outcome in terms of the food production. And secondly, because next generation sequencing generates a huge amount of data, we're incorporating AI to translate this complexity in the data, translate this, let's say that's gigabases or terabases of information into something that is functional in terms of the agricultural context. We are using AI to match make the soil microbiome with what is important for the farmers in terms of the outcomes, yields, quality, and also we are also creating match between the inputs that the farmer are using, what kind of fertilizer, what kind of crop protection, what kind of seed, what kind of crop variety they are using, and how those inputs are decisions that the farmer are doing and at the same they are taking at the same moment, how those decisions are actually impacting are changing the soil microbiome. When we have all this information, we can balance and we can create a better equation that can bring the outcomes that are desired by the industry, by the farmer, because that's where their profitability comes from. And secondly, we can balance out also in the same equation the environmental aspect that are important for taking care of the planet. So that's in the first time of the human history, we are able to use technology such as NGS and AI to create a relation between the soil microbiome that is it's a huge and complex universe and that is on our feet. And we're using this information to create a valuable outcome to the farmers.
All right, so this is great. So you mentioned we a few times. How big is your team? Where are they located? And talk me through your customers. Like, who are you working with?
Yeah, I mean, something that is really important to share with the audience is that the food industry, the agriculture, it is a global industry. It is a global, let's say, economy that works all tied together. So yeah, we are a numerous team. We are around 55 people in Solena. We are spread across North America, South America. We have team members in the US, Mexico, Peru, Brazil, and some other places in the world. And we leverage and also with local laboratories in order to analyze and to get this data and spread our technology as fast as possible. That's our goal. Currently, I mean, we have a huge, let's say, team members in terms of the technology. There are around like 12 PhDs creating this relation between the soil microbiome, the plants, and the inputs, and how those relations are actually meaningful for the food industry. That's how we are integrating our technology and the core team. Some of our clients, we work with three different kind of partners. The first one are food companies. We work with the major food companies in the world. In the US, I can name International Farming Corporation as one of our customers, and some others, big companies that they group thousands of acres and thousands of farmers, individual farmers. Also, we work with input suppliers, such as one of our customers is BASF. That's something that I can show. We are helping to create a relation between their inputs and how their inputs can actually be meaningful and helpful to the farmers in this context of production and sustainability. And we also work with partners such as SAP. SAP is one of our biggest partners where we are able to share the data we are generating from the soil microbiome through their technology, through their platform. We are sharing this information to reach their SAP users or customers that they are using their technology to predict the behavior or productivity of some farmland and some operations. But now, because they can access to the soil microbiome data, they can optimize the production. They can optimize the pipelines and workflows.
Interesting. Okay. And how long does it take for your technology to unlock the biological capital?
Yes.
What kind of impact does it have on the environment and agriculture in the near term, right, and mid and long term? Because I know sometimes these things they take a while for the data and for the impact to play themselves out. So could you just talk through that?
Sure, definitely. Let me walk you through our technology. I mean, everything starts us with a soil sample, physical soil sample that we collect through partners, that we collect through working with food companies or input suppliers. We get access to the soil. Mm-hmm. We extract the DNA of the soil. We sequence the DNA of the soil, and then through all this data that has been digitalized, we run our Prometheus platform. That is our core technology. That is using AI to unveil this complexity and translate it into functionalities that are important for agriculture and the environment. That is essentially and conceptually what we're doing. So when we are talking about soil health, that's one of those parameters. Conceptually, soil health, it is really easy to define. And I must say, simplifying a lot this concept. If you ask any farmer what is the soil health, what is their healthy soil definition, they will say that, hey, I mean, a healthy soil, it is a soil that doesn't bother me much, doesn't need a lot of resources or inputs in order to create a really good outcome. Yes, but if we take a look at that definition and we translate that definition into the complete landscape of food production across the continent and across the globe, we will see that the soil health definition, it is naturally different depending on the crop, depending on the region, depending on whatever input the farmer is using. So there's a bunch of individuals and singles definition of healthy soil. Our first, let's say, use of our technology, where we are helping the industry and the food companies, is to define in parameters of the soil microbiome functionalities that are important, such as for productivity and for sustainability. We are helping them to define what is actually a healthy soil in terms of parameters, because this is really important for creating a baseline. Let's say we are interested in increasing the capacity of the soil to fix carbon. Let's say that's something that it's a huge trend right now. Okay, that solution won't be the same solution for every region and every soil. So we need to tailor and create a customized solution for the type of the crop, the type of the region, the type of the climate, and whatever and so on.
Right, because
the second use,
because the soil is different everywhere in the world, and at the same time,
yes,
expectations in terms of what they grow, what they extract from the soil. So some cultures might be root-based cultures like yams and cassavas, and some might be more maize, so growing corn and growing wheat and growing in other places berries and everything else. So you have to, it has to be optimized for region and for crop.
Yes, we are moving towards from an agriculture that is one size fits all.
Yeah,
that's the meaning. Yeah, we're moving towards to that kind of agriculture. Hey, you should take this input or this something and add it to your soil, Um, yeah, I mean, that won't work. That is not working when you try to replicate this globally. So the second use, it is using our technology that is Prometheus by first, like creating this baseline that is, for me, that's the gift that I want to deliver to humanity. Definition of the soil health through Prometheus and through this technology, we want as a company to deliver this baseline. Hey, what is actually it is important to protect and take care of and to use in order to grow food. But that moves toward that is, I mean, that's one part of the history. We need to deliver an actual solution to the farmer so they can improve their soil, they can conserve and preserve the soil. So that's why we partner with input suppliers in order to use this baseline to create a customized prescription of the inputs or the activities or the type of seeds or the types of crops that the farmer needs to use in order to balance this equation between productivity and sustainability. So that's what we're doing. We are moving towards the one size fits all to customized solution by considering the soil microbiome data and the data that we can actually analyze and translate it into functionalities to boost the biological capital of the soil. How long does it take? As short as one crop cycle and as long as the farmer is producing food.
So what's your long-term vision for Solena and how do you plan to achieve it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I do believe that the kind of technology that we are generating right now, like being able to read and understand and manage and control and adjust the soil microbiome, is something that I feel responsible to bring to the farmers around the world as fast as possible. That's my responsibility. That's something that I have taken as personal. So what is in the future? We need to act really fast. We're talking about a soil extinction, so we need to act really fast. We need to move really fast. And what is on the next steps of Solena in a short or medium, vision? It is that we want to leverage on partners. We are looking to leverage on food companies. We're looking to leverage on partners to share more data. We're looking to leverage on input suppliers in order to gain and accelerate our access to the farmers. At the end, the farmers, they are the users of the technology. They are the users of the inputs, and they need this kind of solution in order to keep their business growing and keep the food production, yields. So that's next. Leverage on partnerships. We want to open the door to the community of the industry of food production.
So this is a huge idea, right? A really big idea that will help millions in society. And we typically don't see endeavors like this too often. So how do we get more ideas like this out into the world?
Well, I mean, I like really much to listen. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm an active listener. That's something that I really like as part of my personality. Mm-hmm. So I do believe that the best ideas, the ideas that can actually disrupt the economies, change how we are doing the things. I do believe that like next revolution in agriculture stems in the soil. I mean, it will begin on the soil microbiology, the soil microbiome. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the beginning was just listening the final user, listening their pains, listening their fears, listening what they are looking to solve. I mean, that was the first driver and the first trigger to this idea. So my recommendation is just listen the final user. Let's get into like some empathy mode and listen very carefully what they are saying or they are trying to say.
As we come to the end of this, I have to ask, what advice would you give to young professionals who aspire to make a significant impact in agricultural and environmental technology, as well as just young folks that are really thinking about their next steps in terms of how you build or how they would build a company leveraging the future pieces or elements of AI?
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that out there, I mean, for example, in Solena, we are really committed to our purpose. We like to think that we want the consumers, the food consumers, to increase their well-being. We want to increase the well-being of the consumer. That's the huge vision of Solena. And everyone that is working with Solena inside in the company as a team member or outside as a partner, as an investor, they are committed to this purpose. So I do believe that like having a huge purpose that will drive and open the doors to create a company. And in order to accomplish this purpose, you will use any professional will use the tools that are out there accessible. So that's why in Solena we were able to incorporate those two huge technologies, NGS and AI, in the same bucket. So in the future, if the technology keeps evolving, of course we will have more tools, because our purpose is keeping the same, is maintaining the same direction. We will be able to incorporate more tools in order to be more efficient achieving our goal. So that's like my big recommendation. I mean, get yourself a huge purpose, get yourself really ambitious in terms of like solving this huge challenge or accomplishing this huge purpose, and leverage on the tools that are out there. If it's technology, if it's partners, if it's friends, just leverage on them in order to accelerate and bring this solution to humanity. That's a huge responsibility that in Solena we are sharing, and we are sharing with the community.
I just want to say thank you once again for your time today. It's amazing to see that you and your team have come together to leverage the technology, leverage artificial intelligence as we're going into this whole new era of technology and development to create something that's going to be beneficial to humankind. And I'm super excited to see what comes from this in the near term.
Oh, Donnovan, it was a pleasure to talk to you. We are really happy to share what we're doing in Solena. Thank you very much for your questions and your insight. It was great to have this conversation.
All right. Thanks again. Look forward to speaking with you soon.